Good morning. Welcome to today's lecture, which will be related to the some applications of energy system modeling and some practical examples, not specifically related to the spine opt, which is the main tool we are considering in this course. I just want to remind you that this lecture is a part of the lecture block related to the energy system modeling developed under the MOPA project, Horizon Europe Research Innovation Project. And I would like to say thanks to my colleagues, Associated Professor Diana Žalostiba. You will see video recording by end of my lecture today. And also my colleague Yana Tserimranova helped me to prepare these slides. I will switch off my video for the better quality and let's start. So today lecture I will take a broad look at energy system planning and flexibility through different let's say case studies or examples. We will touch a little bit market design, how modeling tools can help in this case. Also, I will show you a few examples related to the challenges of integrating renewable energy. And also we will talk about maybe how this tool can be used for the transmission planning and system coordination. And by the end, again, you will see another one, maybe more detailed example of the Baltic countries in the lecture provided by my colleague as a result of the Fast and Number project. So let's start from the first example. It will be related to the trade dress. It's a Horizon 2020 research project, which explored new market design and different models for 100 renewable power system. You will see some examples from the trade dress, which illustrates how market design can evolve to meet the needs of high renewable system. Actually, I would like to point also here that all those examples are closely connected to the research where VTT Research Institute in Finland play a very active role, either as a partner or as a project coordinator. And actually, someone from the VTT would present also maybe even better these examples. But anyway. Also, I would like to mention here that the fact that all the examples we will look at today in one or another way contribute to the development of spine opt, because the spine opt for the moment is the, let's say, most complicated open access tool for energy system modeling. Okay. The project Trade Dress aimed to develop a new electricity market design capable for supporting 100 renewable power system. Those designs need to provide efficient operational and investment incentive in a system dominated by variable renewable energy sources like wind and solar mainly. To achieve this, Trade Dress developed and tested advanced modeling tool. Also, project actively involved the key stakeholders from across the energy sector to ensure that the proposed solution were practical and effective. The focus was on creating economically efficient market design that could also ensure electricity of supply and support integration with other energy sectors like transport, hydrogen, and also enable more active participation on flexible demand from all types of consumers, like buildings or even individual consumers. Additionally, the project worked on allocating market risks and social acceptance way, aiming to protect consumers from extreme energy price fluctuations. To deliver on those goals, trade dress followed an interactive approach, continuously refining models and engaging experts to ensure realistic outcomes. Uh, uh, this includes representing. Actually, they created a kind of framework for the modeling, and this includes representing all energy sectors, explicitly modeling flexibility resources in need, integrating operational details into investment decisions. On the left side on the slide, you can see the scenario set up from conservative to radical, ranging from low renewable shares to full renewable, like a 100% implementation, together with the sector coupling and high demand side flexibility. These scenarios labeled SO and S4, SO2, S4, and vary to renewable energy shares and levels of flexibility, together with constraints set on thermal capacity and assumptions made about demand from sector like hydrogen, electric mobility, and heating. To model this system, the open source backbone framework, I already said a few words in the previous lecture about this framework, was used to optimize investments in new capacities. Now, actually, the backbone framework also exists, and it's still be also under development, and it can be also connected to the SPI opt. So, if someone developed a modeling framework in the backbone, it can be not very easily, but can be transferred to the SPI opt for maybe more complicated optimization. As shown on the right side of the slide, the project applied a soft linking methodology where optimal capacity results were passed on to detailed operational simulations on the electricity market. This two steps process ensured that investment decisions were not only cost effective, but also operationally feasible under different market conditions and flexibility assumptions. On the building on the scenario analysis, the trade race project produced optimized benchmarks of decarbonized pan-European power and energy system. The graphs on the left show the mix of external and internal capacity under different scenarios. The graph on the right illustrates the resulting annual electricity production in the pan-European region. A key finding was that ambitious renewable targets combined with the phase out of thermal capacity and rising electricity demand led to significant additional investments in the wind power and solar PV. High renewable shares also drove up investments in electrolyzers and hydrogen turbines. However, when demand side flexibility was increased, the need for new hydrogen turbines was reduced. Also, the capability of thermal plants using renewable fuels remained relatively stable in the early scenarios. Their electricity production declined sharply from SO onward, highlighting the shift from firm thermal generation toward variable renewable supported by flexibility. This slide shows how electricity prices responded to different shares of wind and solar energy, sector coupling, and demand-side flexibility across the modeled countries and regions. So you can see like the most of the European countries present here. What you see here, here are electricity price duration curves. Those help illustrate how prices change over time under each scenario. And one key insight from the analysis was that flexible demand played a major role in stabilizing wholesale electricity prices, especially in systems with very high shares of variable renewables like wind and solar as well, which have very low, as you know, marginal costs. Even with flexible loads and increased conventional demand, high renewable targets like 85% and 95% still resulting in many hours of very low prices. This outcome was linked to the high assumption of thermal capacity. Even after removing fossil fuel plants, the remaining capacity created a strong sensitivity in price outcomes depending on the thermal margin. It's important also to say that some figures provided here describing the trade race project was taken from like early papers, conference papers from the project, and some final results are published on the project webpage and as a deliverable. So you also can take a look to the webpage of this project. In addition to the European analysis carried out in the trade race, like similar flexibility studies were conducted in the country level. Also, as I said, VTT take a very active role in this project, in this feasibility study. One example, it was actually the feasibility study, let's say, was like a offered, not exactly offered, but actually IRENA initiated this feasibility study, and VTT use its energy system modeling tool for this purpose. IRENA supported flexibility assessment for Panama. This study focused on understanding the country ability to integrate higher shares of renewable energy, or also still maintaining reliability and system stability. Given Panama's unique geography and its central role in the regional electricity trade, the flexibility needs and transmission infrastructure were carefully analyzed to support long-term planning and investment strategies. Between 2017 and 2030, Panama's total electricity demand is expected to more than double, with a peak demand reaching up to 3.5 gigawatts. However, the system faces several challenges, such as heavy reliance of hydropower, limited energy storage capacity, and also weak interconnections with the neighboring countries in transmission grids. To assess future flexibility needs, two main scenarios for 2030 were explored. The one is reference scenario that includes additional 2 gigawatts of natural gas-fired generation, and renewable scenario, where wind capacity increased to over 1.1 gigawatt and solar PV capacity grows nearly to 800 megawatts. The analysis involved simulating different renewables penetrations levels based on national plans, evaluating optimal generation mixes, including storage, and considering the implication of high solar PV shares and long-term planning. The figure on the right shows annual electricity generation and dispatch for high renewable week in each scenario. As expected, the renewable scenario results in a higher share of variable renewable energy and consequently in a greater need for the ramping. The system thanks to Panama's flexible hydropower and planned gas-fired generation, was able to manage those requirements effectively. The table 2, the actual numbering is taken from the paper, which you can find in additional materials to this course. So the table 2 confirms that all key flexibility indicators show zero issues in both scenarios. The renewable scenario demonstrates like a clear advantages with 5% lower annual system costs and 20% lower carbon emissions compared to the reference case. Those finding highlights that with proper planning, Panama can significantly increase its renewable share without compromising system stability or reliability. Using Flex tool investment models and renewable scenarios, the analysis confirms that Panama's power system would have enough flexibility to support even higher level of variable renewable energy. As shown on the chart, the model identifies cost-efficient investments in 1.7 gigawatts of additional solar power and 164 megawatts of battery storage, like raising the renewable energy share from 58 to 69. The results also indicated that curtailment become a challenge, of course, and when both wind and solar capacity exceed 2 gigawatts, at that point, further flexibility measures beyond the current setup would be required to fully utilize the renewable potential without significant energy losses. Moving from country to the city level, to the urban level, I would like also to briefly describe one case related to the Helsinki city. It's called like a Helsinki Energy Challenge. The project explored a city-scale model for electricity and heat, aimed at supporting Helsinki ambitions goals to become carbon neutral by 2035. The model includes centralized and distributed production of heating and cooling, also electricity grid interaction, all various type of consumption from large buildings to individual houses. It also provides detailed view of how local energy system can be transformed to reduce emissions, still maintaining reliable and affordable energy services. So this schematic illustrates the structure of the Helsinki city level electricity and heat model. The model integrates the district heating and cooling system with the electricity grid, accounting for various energy sources like fossil fuel, biomass, solar heating, industrial heat recovery, as well as the thermal units and heat pumps. Energy flows through heating and cooling grid supported by storage system, and it's matched to hourly demand using real-world input data such as the fuel cost, emission factors, weather conditions as well. This model was at the core of the award-winning Beyond Fossil concept, a flexible, cost-effective energy transition pathway based on the clean heating auctions. The idea is to phase out coal by 2029 and reduce life cycle emissions by 80%. The use of regular technology-neutral auctions enables the city to adapt quickly the most efficient and innovative clean heating solutions available year by year. So the model itself and the approach presented is kind of flexible. On the left, the figure illustrates the energy balance for the Helsinki heating and electricity system under different scenarios, comparing to 2019 and 2030. On the left, we see the baseline from 2019, which includes a significant share of coal and oil boilers. In the middle, such called energy renaissance scenario reflects expected energy efficiency improvements. Under this scenario, just 100 megawatts of new clean heat capacity would be required to phase out coal by 2029, and another 100 megawatts to reach the 80% emissions reduction target by 2035. On the right, the current trend scenario assumes no major energy efficiency gains. In the case, up to 400 megawatts of new capacity would be needed by 2029, plus another 100 megawatts by 2035. In both scenarios, heat pumps using ambient and excess heat sources emerge as a dominant new technology. While those investments involve upfront cost, the model shows they lead to lower operating cost, meaning the overall heating cost would remain stable even as the coal is phased out and the system transition to low carbon energy system. This chart shows the hourly operation of Helsinki district heating system in 2030 under the energy renaissance scenario. The zoom in at the top highlights two key points: a milder Christmas and colder early January peaks. Throughout most of the year, heat pumps are prioritized and they offer lower operating costs than natural gas combined cycle units. However, during hours with the high electricity prices, natural gas combined cycles units take over, selling electricity to the grid and avoiding the need to buy it for heat pump operation. Thermal storage plays a crucial role, in this case helping to smooth short-term peaks and shift demand when needed. The model also respects detailed operational constraints such as a minimal loading level, runtime requirements, and practical load efficiencies. It also accounts for switching cost, ensuring that transitions between units are only made when economically justified. During winter peak demand, existing oil and gas boilers are used as a backup capacity. Those fossil units help balance local supply across the grid, but not expanded, and their operational hours are kept in check to avoid increasing emissions. So this simulation done by VTT also confirms that Helsinki system can operate reliable and flexibly under future conditions with no need for new fossil capacity and with peak emissions contained with the current limits. Probably this example can inspire you to finalize your practical task, just trying to maybe to explore energy system modeling in more details. Another example from the International Energy Agency, where also VTT took an active role. This work focused on the understanding the effects of interannual variability, such as the challenges in weather patterns from the year to year on energy system performance. Also, using reference system models analysis, assess how variability in wind and solar resources can impact planning, investments, and system reliability across different countries and regions. To explore this impact of interannual and seasonal variability of energy system, simplified reference models were developed for the different climate zones around the world. As shown on the map, those zones include temperature regions with the hot summers, tropical climates, arid zones with the colder temperatures, and continental areas with the experience warm summers. The goal of this classification is to better understand which type of flexibility, such as storage, dispatchable generation, or sector coupling, are the most relevant in each climate type, particularly when managing load duration variability in renewable supply. By simulating energy system under those climate conditions, the study identifies how regional difference share system needs and what strategies are most effective in each context. This slide summarizes the key seasonal characteristics of the 4 climate zones used in the International Energy Agency Interannual Variability Study. Seasonal patterns emerge from the interaction of electricity demand and availability of renewable resources, and they vary significantly across climate types. For example, the temperate regions with a hot summer, peak loads tend to coincide with low carbon availability, but there is relatively good seasonal complementarity between wind and solar. Tropical regions, on the other hand, have less seasonal demand variations, but face challenges due to the lower hydro availability and limited wind-solar complementarity. For each climate group, representative weather years were conducted using time series data for hydro, solar, wind availability, as well as the demand. These were used in cost optimization models that minimize the total system cost, including annual investments, helping to identify which flexibility solutions are the most effective under each climate scenario. To ensure consistency across the different climate zones, all example systems were modeling using the same core assumptions. This includes uniform values for technology, costs, and performance, fuel and carbon prices, capacity factors for thermal and hydropower plants, the share of battery electric vehicles in the transport sector was also included to reflect sector coupling effect. The model optimized investments in wind, solar, and various flexibility resources to minimize total system cost, keeping emissions below a carbon price threshold of $120 per ton of CO2. As shown on the yellow box on the right, a wide range of technologies were included, from renewables to flexibility options such batteries, pumped hydro, hydrogen storage, demand-side management, sector coupling through electrolyzers, and vehicle-to-grid systems as well. Fossil options with and without carbon capture, as well as 100 ammonia or hydrogen-based units were also considered. To enable fair comparison between regions, all results were normalized to present a population of 1 million persons per system. This slide summarizes the key numerical results from the modeled example system under the shared assumptions. Across all climate zones, variable renewable account for 70 to 90% of annual electricity generation. The remaining demand is mostly met by hydropower and thermal power plants, which also play a crucial role in simplifying flexibility, especially at longer timescales. The tables break down technology shares, system costs, emissions for each climate zone. You can see that while the variable resources share remains high across the board, the balance of flexibility solutions varies depending on local conditions. For example, uh, in tropical regions where hydro availability is limited, systems rely more heavily on gas turbines and storage. In contrast, for instance, continental zones benefit from stronger wind resources and seasonal hydro, reducing their dependence on the thermal capacity. Each system optimal mix reflects a cost-effective balance between reliability, emission targets, climate constraints, helping to inform future system designs under variable, renewable dominated conditions. Uh, uh, this figure illustrates how seasonal patterns in electricity demand aligned or misaligned with the generation from solar, wind, and hydro in each example, in each climate system. The vertical axis shows electricity in terawatts hours per month per million people. The demand profiles are based on historical time series and include projected increases from electric vehicle and hydrogen production, but do not yet reflect potential shifts from building electrification. Each chart displays how variable renewable energy, solar in yellow color and wind in green and hydro in blue, contributes throughout the year. The white area show the demand curve represent the portion covered by thermal generation. We see that patterns vary significantly by climate zone. Again, for instance, for zones with the hot summers, peak demands consists with lower wind and solar outputs, increasing reliance of thermal capacity. In continental regions, we see that better seasonal complementarity, reducing the gap between renewable generation and demand. Those insights are based on, let's say, idealized system optimized purely for cost efficiency. When those systems were models, they do not include real-world constraints such energy taxes, policy targets, or infrastructure bottlenecks, but they help highlight the underlying physical and climate dynamics that shape system design. This slide brings together the electricity and flexibility supply characteristic across all modeled example system, highlighting how different climate conditions influence system designs. Starting with the chart on the left, we see that variable renewables provide 70% to 90% of annual electricity generation across all systems. The arid climate achieves a higher variable renewable energy share thanks to strong wind and solar resources. In contrast, the tropical system shows a lower share of renewables, primarily due to the long period of low wind, which reduce investment attractiveness or efficiency. The central chart focuses on flexibility supply, showing how different technologies such batteries, hydro, demand side management, and thermal plants contribute to system balancing. Finally, the chart on the right emphasizes seasonal flexibility, where thermal power still plays a major role, covering between 50% and 75% on the long duration flexibility needs. Despite the relatively low annual output from the thermal plants, just 5 to 15%, they are crucial for seasonal balancing still. However, this reliance on thermal flexibility results in carbon intensity levels between 30 and 60 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hours, which is low by today's standards, but still not compatible with the full net zero target of European Commission. To just wrap up, the analysis shows that 70 to 90% variable shares, meaning seasonal variability, become one of the biggest challenges. And of course, this is largely addressed throughout thermal generation, hydropower, which plays actually key roles in seasonal balancing. And of course, all these results also can be found in the report of this project. Another example, just to show the maybe more deeper the role of thermal power in the future energy system. Let's look at in another example. The study itself is published in Applied Energy, and you can see it, among authors, you can see Nina Hristo and Juha Kiviluma. They are like a main developers of, let's say, of spine toolbox. And this study explores how operational constraints and time resolution affect investment decision in system dominated by wind and solar, also highlighting the importance of accurately modeling thermal plants when planning for flexibility and reliability. This study exactly used the backbone energy system modeling framework to explore how different representation impact investment decision and other cost outcomes. As shown on the diagram, the modeling approach includes two phases. The first, the investment model, determines the optimal mix of production and storage capacities based on different levels of temporal details and operational assumptions. Then those capacities are passed to the fixed operational model, which evaluates how the system performs in practice, including operational constraints and cost variability. The objective across both models is to minimize total system costs and at the same time considering technical limits and penalties where applicable. Two-step process allows for clean comparison between model accuracy and computational efforts across different system representations. And this slide shows how flexible combined heat and power or CHP technologies are represented within the backbone modeling framework using a node unit structure. On the left, you see a nuclear, like a CHP system. On the right, a natural gas combined so-called CHP plant. Each system is broken down into functional components such as turbines, generators, steam generators connected via energy nodes, marking in different colors here. Orange nodes represent fuel input, red node represents steam flow, blue node show electricity outputs, and pink nodes represent district heat production. This detailed representation captures the internal dynamics and interdependencies of CHP units, allowing the model to reflect the operational flexibility of the system, particularly important when integrating them into system with high share of renewables. These charts show how investments outcomes in the case vary depending on the thermal resolution and operational detail used in the model. The results highlight that modeling choices matter, especially for the system with a strong sector coupling like CHP. More detailed representation can lead to the lower system cost and better informed decisions. There is no universal best methods, of course, so testing multiple sector is often needed. As we move toward high renewable system, models need to capture more operational variations, even if some traditional constraints become less relevant. Okay. Next, we shift focus to another country case study related to Ireland, where um, where we did explore multi-sectoral flexibility measures to support wind and solar integration. Ireland is a particularly relevant example due to its high renewable energy ambitions and limited interconnection capacity. In this study, we examined how flexibility from other sectors like heating, transport, and industry can help balance the power system and support secure operation. The analysis built on data from NSOE, which you already know, and also evaluate the role of sector coupling in achieving a resilient electricity system. This diagram illustrates the structure of the multi-vector energy system model in Ireland case. As power system integrate more variable renewable energy, the need for flexibility grows. At the same time, electrification in sectors like heating, transport, and industry offers new flexibility opportunities. In this study, VTT analyzed 7 different flexibility measures from electric vehicles and batteries to power to ammonia and demand response to understand their individual and combined impact. The novelty of the study related to directly quantifying the interconnection and dependencies among these measures across 4 different scenarios. Each scenario was evaluated not only by cost and operational performance, but also in terms of renewable curtailment, system inertia, and non-synchronous generation levels. To understand how model structure influence results, VTT systematically tested different levels of details across technologies and system interactions. This table shows the setup and outcome indicators for various configurations, highlighting the temporal resolutions, sector coupling, and operational details. This table presents the cost and operational benefits of various multi-sectoral flexibility measures across 4 scenarios modeled for year 2030 at hourly resolution. Operational benefits include saving in fuel, emissions, and operational and maintenance cost. For each measure, these are compared against annualized installation cost, giving its benefit to cost ratio. Technologies like electrical vehicle charging, demand response, and heat pumps consistently show higher returns, especially in the high variable sources and inertia sensitive scenarios. This analysis highlights which flexibility options offer the most value under the different system conditions, which is crucial for guiding smart investments decision for the country, for instance. And building even more like on the technology application, I would like also to present here some analysis of the multi-sectoral flexibility, how it turns to the ongoing spine spine hydrogen Ireland project running from currently, so running from 2023 to 2025. This project focuses on the role of the hydrogen in Ireland's future energy system, with a particular emphasis of sector coupling, flexibility, and system integration for the country. In spine hydrogen Ireland, we did explore how hydrogen can contribute to the deep decarbonization of Ireland energy system, also addressing critical issues, for instance, security of supply. 7 future energy scenarios are evaluated, and using 4 interconnected models. This includes the electricity grid and network model, pathway model, flexibility and balancing model, and reliability model. As Ireland increases deployment of wind, solar, and other renewables, the system becomes more variable and uncertain. This calls for advanced solutions such as a long-term storage or flexible hydrogen generation or batteries, but modeling those interdependencies or interdependent technologies is complex. Therefore, the frame of this project working on it develops open model to support planning, investment and policy investment and policy making in this energy sector. This core model forms the foundation for all 7 future scenarios and fits into the pathway model, which optimizes total system costs covering both investments and operations. The model includes detailed input data, fuel and investment costs, technical parameters for generation, electricity and hydrogen networks, and various storage options. It also incorporates 30 years of weather data for wind, solar, and demand, both electricity and hydrogen, ensuring stable analysis under the wide range of conditions. On the right, you can see the visualization of the modeled hydrogen network, which is overlaid on Ireland electricity infrastructure. This table presents 7 model scenarios, each designed to explore different pathways toward the net zero electricity system in Ireland. All scenarios include high electrification and rising electricity demand, but vary in how they integrate hydrogen or network, or maybe including network expansion or maybe including even other technologies. The business as usual scenario is cost driven with no emission constraints. The rest net zero with varying assumption of hydrogen availability, storage, and infrastructure. Some focus on aggressive hydrogen development and network expansion, while others, like the alternative net zero scenario, exclude hydrogen and rely on the carbon capture storage and long duration storage. In all option scenarios is the most flexible, allowing all the technologies to be involved and also to identify the most cost-effective combination under the net zero constraints. In the business as usual scenario, investments are driven poorly by carbon pricing with no net zero target applied. There are moderate investments in renewables and some hydrogen production. Hydrogen isn't used for electricity generation. Most flexibility comes from the existing system and small amount of battery and hydrogen storage. Emissions remain relatively high, in just over 2 million tons of CO2, and costs are lower than in net zero scenarios. Let's say the decarbonization potential, especially beyond the power sector, is limited. So this is like almost the end of my presentation. Examples from the different projects and different case studies developed by VTT using different tools, as I said, the backbone, but now shifting more to the spine opt. So there is a few slides by the end of this presentation where you can find all relevant sources for each of this project or scenario or maybe a publication, as well as in additional materials of the course. For this lecture, you can find some links to the GitHub where real codes and real data available. So please, if necessary, you can use them to finalize your practical tasks within the course. Thank you very much, Henrik, and participants.
Thank you, Anna. And I will now share the video that you provided. If you can stop your share.
Yeah, I will stop the share, and thank you very much for such opportunity. I would like also to invite students to follow at least the MOPA project, where we are working on the 3 types of the energy system modeling, which one is the pan-European case, industrial case, and the Baltic case. And as well, if you're more interested in the new technologies or hydrogen implementation in the energy system, so you definitely can follow the SPINE Hydrogen Ireland project, which is an ongoing project and also still creating results as well. Thank you very much, and have a nice ending of this lecture and the course as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
During the previous lectures, we provided a detailed overview of the Baltic energy system and various modeling options. Today, I will discuss the Baltic energy system modeling conducted within the AMBER project and present the main results. The goal of the project was to explore ambitious energy policy pathways to ensure a secure, flexible, and robust Baltic energy system. To model the Baltic energy system, we use the Backbone framework, which is a mixed integer optimization modeling software in GAMS. It is similar to SpineOpt, which you use for practical exercises. The Backbone model for Baltic countries is a bottom-up model with a high level of technical details covering key energy sectors. It consists of three main modules: a system module, which covers electricity and district heating systems, also including electricity resource, energy transmission, storage, and conversion between different grids. A building module B represents energy use in buildings, including space heating, hot water, and other needs, divided into the same geographical area as the district heating system. A transport module C focuses on passenger vehicle usage at the national level. To analyze the development options for the power and heat sectors, we employed investment modeling. Investment pathway decisions were optimized for the years 2025, 30, 35, and 40, using 5 representative sample weeks per year, each divided into hourly time intervals. The model was designed to invest dynamically in various technologies, identifying most effective solutions to enhance system resilience and address future challenges. Technologies were grouped into 3 categories based on optimized investments. The first group is non-regret technologies, highly feasible investments that reduce system cost when implemented early. For example, onshore wind, rooftop PVs, biomass heat-only boilers, and biomass CHPs. The second group is emerging technologies, feasible in the coming decade if trends continue. This includes utility-scale PVs, biomass CHP with carbon capture and storage, and grid-scale lithium-ion batteries. The third group is sector integration technologies, which enhance flexibility across sectors. Examples include large heat pumps and large heat storage systems used for district heating. The study analyzed 2 scenarios: low price and high prices. The low prices scenario assumed a moderate or realistic investment pace in rooftop PV and renovations, along with the modest EV expansion. In contrast, the high price scenarios assumed a more optimistic investment pace for rooftop PV and renovations, coupled with a more realistic electrical vehicle expansion. On the right, you can see the technologies selected by the model. Green cells represent investments presented in both scenarios. Light orange indicates investments inclusively to the high price scenario, and light blue represents investment specific to the low price scenario. White cells indicates no investments in such technologies. The results suggest that in the high price scenario, a broader and more diverse set of technologies become economically viable. In the Baltic countries, wind and solar capacity is expanding much faster than storage and transmission infrastructure. The phase out of fossil thermal generation further increases the need for new balancing solutions across all the time scales, from seconds to seasons, requiring greater flexibility and sector integration. For short-term balancing, the most feasible solutions include district heat power system integration using heat pumps and heat storages, hydrogen storage as demand response, smart electrical vehicle charging as demand response, and grid-scale lithium-ion batteries. For long-term balancing, the most promising sustainable solutions are biomass use with carbon sink limits, carbon capture and storage with biomass or natural gas, Power-to-X for long-term storage and supply security, as well as Nordic hydropower via electricity trade. This slide represents a major shift in the electricity generation mix up to 2040. Optimized investment in both scenarios results in very high wind share in the Baltic region, with a significant contribution from PV. Large investment in wind and PV reduce reliance on imports and boost domestic electricity production. In the high-price scenario, high natural gas prices further encourage investment in domestic capacity. The high prices scenario accelerates the phase out of natural gas power plant but delays the phase out of oil shale. From 2035 onward, biomass generation with carbon capture and storage may become feasible, particularly in the low price scenario. Electrification progresses more rapidly in the high prices scenario, though the impact on electricity demand from transportation and district heating remains small. Future electricity demand for hydrogen production is highly uncertain. Based on the modeling results, technologies were categorized by feasibility into three groups: feasible in all scenarios, feasible in some scenarios, and not feasible. Universally feasible technologies across all scenarios include rooftop PVs, onshore wind, biomass heat-only boilers, biomass CHP, and large heat storage for district heating. Scenario-dependent technologies include utility-scale PVs, district heating heat pumps, and grid-scale batteries, which are viable only in specific scenarios. Also, capturing carbon from biomass in new CHP plants emerges as a promising option for Baltic region. The model invests in biomass CHP with carbon capture storage by 2040 in both price scenarios. The model assumes industrial hydrogen demand and storage from 2035 onward. The model uses hydrogen as a significant source of demand response using electrolyzers when electricity is cheap and storing hydrogen to later satisfy industrial demand, but does not invest in fuel cells in any modeled scenario. Therefore, hydrogen seems feasible in industrial electricity demand flexibility, but not feasible as a round-trip storage back to electricity. Traditional large nuclear reactors were not viable in any scenario. High wind investment level further reduced nuclear profitability by limiting online hours. It should be noted that small modular reactors for district heating were not modeled in the project, but findings from another project suggest that heat-only small modular reactors would be profitable in Tallinn and Riga under similar scenario. The modeling suggests that investment in the integration of district heat and electricity is a cost-effective flexibility solution in all Baltic capitals. Timeline of investment is similar in all Baltic capitals, although existing capacity and demand make each capital capacity mix unique, as you can see in the tables presented on this slide. Let's take a look at total Baltic electricity net load duration curve with different level of wind and solar capacity. The peak net load is the most challenging situation for the power system. It only occurs on low number of hours of the year, but requires high capacity. As you can see in red cycle, increase in wind and solar does not significantly reduce the peak net load. However, peak net load can be reduced with demand-side management. Another challenging situation occurs when available generation is higher than demand. It's marked with a green square. With increasing wind and solar capacity, negative net low hours will become more frequent. The excess electricity can be exported, stored, converted, or curtailed. The amount of these hours can be reduced with demand response and electrification. Optimized modeling results from a week in October 2040 in Lithuania demonstrate how existing and new flexibility resources are operated in highly renewable system. District heat, transport and hydrogen sectors participate in power system balancing. Drivers of balancing are net load, prices of import electricity, district heat, hydrogen and transport demand. There are three examples to observe. Example A. During a full day of negative net load hours followed by 2.5 days of normal load hours, all balancing measures are used. Electricity is exported and imported, hydro storage is charged and then discharged, heat pumps is charging heat storages, and demand response is used to shift electrolyzers and electrical vehicle load. Notice that grid-scale batteries are used on a short time scale to balance 2-3 hours. But the thermal units are not dispatched in the normal load hours as other flexibility measures results in lower costs. Example B. Negative net load hours are used for export or charging depending on electricity market prices. And in example C, transmission of electricity flows primarily from Finland and Sweden to Poland, but is balanced accordingly to price as well as domestic and intra-Baltic demand. Curtailment is a part of normal operation on wind power, but with high amount can reduce the value of wind power. With baseline assumptions, there are no limitation on electricity export to neighboring region. When the operating cost of wind generation is equal in the Baltic and Nordic countries and export is not limited, no curtailment of wind capacity in the Baltic model occurs. However, we wanted to study when curtailment occurs if operating cost of wind generation exceeds market prices. The result of such reduced export profits scenario is presented here. The most important indicator of curtailment is not domestic net load, but net load in the Nordic market area. Curtailment happens when variable renewable generation is plentiful in the Nordic and Central European countries. There are three curtailment examples to observe. Example A. Market price is lower than existing wind operating cost in Finland, Sweden and Poland. Demand is covered by new wind capacity. Example B. Market price is lower than existing wind operating costs in Finland, Sweden and Poland. New wind capacity cannot cover demand, but wind is curtailed anyhow and the demand is covered by imports. And example C. Market price is lower than existing wind operating costs in Finland and Sweden. Polish price is higher, but transmission line capacity limits for the export to Poland. New wind capacity cannot cover demand, but wind is curtailed anyhow and the demand is covered by imports. In conclusion, I would like to repeat the Baltic energy system changes by 2040. Substantial expansion of domestic wind and solar generation increases generation variability and flexibility demand. A share of renewables become dominant in the Nordic countries. Electricity market prices detach from fossil and emission prices. This leads to frequent low electricity prices from Sweden and Finland. Renewable energy share in Central Europe and Poland remains lower and dependency on fossil fuel persists. This leads to regularly higher electricity prices in Poland than the Nordics. Personal transport and building heating electricity leading to increased electricity demand but improved energy efficiency. End-use sector become increasingly available for demand response. Increased natural gas prices and reduced availability encourage fossil phase out and domestic renewable investments, but can challenge energy security and energy affordability. Changes in transfer connection, detachment from Russia's synchronous grid and reinforcement of transmission line to Poland and inside Baltic region increase integration with Europe, but reduce overall import capacity. The Baltic region will remain highly impacted by the policies of other countries in the Nordic and Central Europe. The Baltic countries may economically benefit from the large planned renewable capacity installation in other countries, but this may contradict with feasibility of own domestic generation and domestic generation goals. Thank you for your attention.
That was the video from Diana, and we still have lectures next week. So next week we'll have the final lecture and also the final exercise session. And still I have the Moodle assignment 4 to assign to you. And remember, tomorrow and on Friday we'll continue with the project work. So the project work finalization sessions tomorrow and on Friday. And one thing we noticed from the skeleton, so if you are yet to do the project work, if you haven't started it, there is a problem with the skeleton file. So what you have to do in SpineOpt, you have to add the load template, or the Spine toolbox. So I will show you it in here. It's the same thing that you managed in the preparatory session. So this project skeleton will provide you 4 different blocks, and on top of that, you will have to, I'll get this out of the way from here. On top of that, you will have to get this load template. So you have to drag it and connect it to the existing blocks. So the next block is going to be the data store. So that used to work in the previous versions, but since this has been updated, then there's a problem with the skeleton file. So remember to add the load template and do the same procedures as in the preparatory session. But if you have any questions related to that, or if you get any error messages, we can look those on the tomorrow's and Friday's sessions. So thank you again for listening, and let's continue the exercises and next week the final lectures.